the question is, how do you prove you're one of the elect to yourself as well as to others? Because at this time in history, everyone believes in God, and everyone believes that God is the source of your luck. So if you have a good life, it means because you've been a pious person and God favors you. If you became a very wealthy person, that also shows you that God favors you, right? So wealth is the clearest indicator that to the community that you're a good person, right? Because before it was about storytelling, like how good of a storyteller were you? Now it's about wealth creation. How good of a businessman? The Dutch Republic has all this wealth. It can't spend it, but if it just leaves in the bank, all this gold, the Spanish are going to come and steal it, okay? So they transfer all this gold to England, which has a Royal Navy, and which can protect this gold, okay? But now the question then is, how do you ensure that this gold creates more wealth? Because it's important to create wealth to show you are part of the elect, right? So in 1694, they created something called the Bank of England. And the idea of the Bank of England is very simple. This should be a private bank, okay? Meaning like, if you put this gold into this bank, it's your gold. It's private because you have to prove to yourself and to God that you are wealthy, right? And the deal is this. Parliament, the nation state, would borrow this money from you in order to finance wars. Because before, the relationship was, wars at this time was fought by mercenaries. So you need a lot of gold. You need a lot of capital. And so kings would borrow money from merchants usually. But the problem is that the king could die, the king could lose the war, or the king could just be like, I don't need to pay you back because I'm the king and you're not, right? So there's a real risk when you lend money to the king. But now that you lend money to parliament, now it's safe because every person in the country is obligated to pay back the debt, regardless of how poor this nation becomes. As long as the nation state is still standing, as long as parliament has authority, parliament must pay you back. Okay, so the idea is the Bank of England has all this private wealth, and now it lends this money, what we call money printing, to parliament in order for parliament to finance public works projects, finance wars, finance everything. Okay? And this led to the creation of the British Empire. The problem with this is now parliament needs to expand this wealth. And how do you do that? Well, you conquer other territories, right? You go start wars. And this is what led to the expansion of the British Empire. This is what led to the colonization of India. This is what led to the Opium Wars in China, where Britain forced drugs upon the Chinese population, because you're constantly looking for new markets in order to extract wealth. And this is what creates the idea of transnational capital. Okay, the first principle is the creation of wealth for the purpose of wealth creation. Okay, no other ends. It's not to make a better society. It's not to make a better world. It's not to improve the lot of humanity. It's just wealth creation, and that's all. And that's all they care about. And that's number one. Number two is it's transnational, meaning what they care most about is the liquid movement of capital around the world. So wherever there's an opportunity, they want to move that capital. So an example, of course, is America's Gilded Age, when America was rapidly industrializing. And so the City of London, the Bank of England, shifted a lot of transnational capital to America. The problem with America, though, is Americans hated the British at this time. And they hated transnational capital because they saw transnational capital as a source of all evil. So what they did, which was very clever, is they had agents that they handpicked in order to promote transnational capital in America. And these people are called John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, Commodore Vanderbilt. That's how they became very wealthy, right? Because think about this, how John D. Rockefeller came from nothing. And before he died, he monopolized the entire oil industry in America. How did he do that? Just do the math. It's impossible to monopolize an entire nation's oil. You can monopolize maybe Ohio or Florida. Sure, I can understand that. But when you monopolize the entire nation of America, that's ridiculous. Okay, and so I think the best logical explanation is that transnational capital recognizes his potential and backed him and gave him the financing to buy all his competitors, which makes the most logical sense, right? So that's what transnational capital does. It's only interested in wealth creation. It moves capital around from place to place. It has absolutely no loyalty to nation, and it believes in open borders. It believes in, it sees religion as a threat. It sees monarchies as a threat. And most people don't appreciate this, but transnational capital also financed the creation of Marxism. The first aspect is, if you go and look at the life of Karl Marx, he was being bankrolled by Frederick Engels. Frederick Engels' father was an industrialist. So this is transnational capital. And why would they finance Karl Marx? And Karl Marx spent most of his life in Britain, right? So that's the first example. The second example is, if you look at the Bolsheviks, this was an extreme French political party in Russia that no one liked. Everyone thought these people are crazy, they're fanatics, but they had access to transnational capital. They were financed by Wall Street. And so during the Bolshevik Revolution, transnational capital was bankrolling them so that they could hire mercenaries to fight the war. They could bribe foreign governments not to intervene. They could pay off generals of the white armies, and that's how they won the war, with the help of transnational capital. So this dichotomy between capitalism and communism, it's all a false dialectic. It's meant to deceive you. Ultimately, what transnational capital is interested in is in seeking better investment opportunities. And Bolshevism made Russia a better investment opportunity for transnational capital, right? Because before, you had the Tsar, and you had the Orthodox Church, and both were opposed to transnational capital. They saw it as the Antichrist system. They still call it the Antichrist system. Yes, in order to pave the way for the infiltration of transnational capital into the world, right? Because who opposes money? Well, the king opposes transnational capital because he doesn't want the national sovereignty to be destroyed, right? Kings oppose transnational capital. Who else opposes transnational capital? Religious people, right? Because they see money as a source of all evil. Like, guys, let's not focus on making money. Let's just focus on praying to God, on being good people. Communism is considered like the apex of Enlightenment because it puts reason above everything else. It puts reason above God, country, and king. And no other philosophy did that before, right? So communism was crucial to the development and conquest of transnational capital. What we need to understand is, for transnational capital to win, it needs to create an entire worldview, an entire religion, an entire philosophy, so that it can infiltrate your mind, right? Because again, throughout most of human history, we didn't care about money. We cared about the community. We cared about our status in the community. So what transnational capital did was not only did it sponsor Marxism, but also sponsored other movements as well that were key to creating the world that we live in, okay? So one person that they sponsored was John Locke, who proposed that private property is an intrinsic right given to you by God. And this was new at this time. At this time in history, people were pious and they didn't really care about private property. They cared about their faith. They cared about their community. They cared about their relationship with God. Now, John Locke is saying that private property is something given to you by God, and therefore it is protected by God. Another idea he promoted was something called empiricism, which is to say, like, you can only know things that you experience. And this is, again, a radically different concept from religion, which is you should feel God in you. And there are these spirits, holy spirits, around you. And John Locke's saying, no, guys, you're just hallucinating. You're delusional. Things only exist if you can experience them yourself. You can't just imagine things. You just can't